Are you surprised at Kyle Dubas's week? Because here's a guy that's been skill. I'll take him at 5'9". I'll take him at 5'11", and then the finding religion moment of grit and toughness.
So I guess I would be a little bit concerned about the amount of turnover and change in such a short period of time, especially maybe given the success of the season so far. I can understand the thinking to shift knowing that you're going to be going against Tampa Bay, because I think the last thing, goaltending is a different subject, but the last thing that you would want to happen in that series is the Leafs get bullied around, and then that's the topic of conversation where he didn't address that. I mean, I guess I'll throw it back to you guys. It seems to be probably the topic of conversation right now, and something that he's going to have to hang his hat on if, in fact, they don't advance past the first round. But I think overall he has done a solid job. I think that although you had to pay Marner and Matthews, I think the cap getting screwed up because of the pandemic really put a damper on what his plans were moving forward, as it did to other teams, but specifically when you're relying so much on that top-end talent. I don't know how often you guys discuss or how much value you put into the leadership that came over when they ended up signing Tavares, because they did sign him to a pretty heavy contract in which, I mean, he's making $11 million. Is that what, a second-line center, right?
Right.
But I do feel that he provides those other intangibles, and these other younger guys needed somebody to learn off of. So now the fact that they got O'Reilly in there, another guy who's been there, done that with that championship experience, I think that it will take not only pressure off JT, but those other guys maybe in those moments in the locker room in the midst of that first series where things do get a little tense, where he's like, hey, we've been here before, boys. We can figure this out, and then lean on him.
Yeah. One thing we have talked about with that, and I'd love to get your take on, is just the core itself hasn't been able to move past in the playoffs. And a lot of people have said it's toughness or they don't have that competitiveness. Can you bring that in around the core? The core is still going to play 20 minutes, 22 minutes a night. Yeah. Can you tape it to the outside of the core with Achari and guys like that and have it be enough to drag those main guys through? Or do you have to have that toughness with your core, within...
Yeah, I mean, those guys are going to have their work cut out for them. I think they're fortunate in the sense that they're going against a core group that is probably a little bit tired. Tampa's, I mean, it's been 4 years in a row they've been making runs here. And that just wear and tears your body. Going back to Leafs core, every one of those guys is going to have to show up. But in those weak moments, where are those bottom six or other guys going to be able to step up in key moments? I was actually talking to Shannon. He's crazy about that Holmberg guy. He came over. He won a championship.
We're big. I love him too.
He works, and he's young, and he's got those fresh legs. And then Achari, like, who was a guy that game over game, shift over shift throughout the course of a series, who was going to help you wear down the other team. Yeah. And that's a guy where I call him a cigarette machine. He's built like a brick house, and he's 5'10", 210, 215, where he can go around and he can, have that damage.
Yeah.
So, going back to the core group overall, I think that they're fine leading in. I don't know what they feel pressure-wise because I'm not inside their bodies. I would say in the past, maybe at some points, it seems like it has gotten to Marner, but I hope that all that's in the past and they can get the thing done.
Yeah.
What do you say to Leaf fans when they watch Boston go get Orlov, then they go get a guy like Hathaway who's can go shoulder to shoulder with anybody on a fourth line? If that's not enough, they go get Bertuzzi. But I also discouraging for Leaf fans.
I think you're looking at Mount Everest if you do end up facing off against them. But I think that with the confidence, if they move past the first round and that challenge, hey, it's also not bad being the underdog at some points. All expectations are going to be on Boston. They are in a place in their franchise with that core group where they had to push the chips in the middle, though. I think they have leveraged way more of the future for this run, more so than Toronto. So I don't know how things are going to play out if they do end up meeting Boston. But let's not look past that first round. If Boston has to play the Islanders, yes, I think Boston's an absolute juggernaut, and I'm taking them. Yeah. That's a grind of a series too. So you got to hope that they can take a little bit of wind out of their sails, so Toronto can have at least some help.